Roll under the carpet there.
Hello, hello. Come on in. Welcome. Pull up a chair. Did you get stuck in the train too?
Yes, we did.
The worst is the ones that come like in the middle of the night that literally want to just lay on the horn versus just the little beep beep kind of thing. I'm like, I can sleep through most of them because we're just a block north. I can sleep through most of them. It really, if we lived closer, I'm sure it would bother me, but for the most part, our house is insulated well enough. I rarely hear it, but the ones that just lay on them, it's like, did you fall asleep on the horn? Because like,
is there someone on the track?
like we hear you. Stop.
I'm not sure who all went. I know Graham went and Max.
You're talking about to Whiteman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun when the train is literally
Make sure my ringer's
a block
off.
away from your house.
Marfa's apartment that we had together was Conestoga.
Oh, okay.
That's not insulated whatsoever. Oh, it was so horrible. Could never have the windows open. It sounded like the train was literally going through your living room.
When I first moved into the house that I'm in now,
I know for sure Heidi was going
but
down.
now that I've lived there
Right,
for
I saw
like
that.
6+ years, it's just like, I can sleep through it, you know, whatever.
The only other one I heard of was.
But then the dogs.
Well, our house in Montana is like right on the highway too, just constant traffic, but you just, you either insulate well or you just learn to just ignore the white noise.
Right.
But the occasional beep beep of a horn is one thing. That you can kind of.
See, and they do too. And so the dog starts barking at them.
And there's the kids that set the timer on the oven last night. Set it for 8 minutes. They set it for 8 hours, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, "What is that sound I'm hearing?" And I'm like, "Oh," so I get up and I'm like, "Okay, Lindsay's phone's right there. It's not her alarm. Did Justin set an alarm? Because I don't want them taking their phones to their rooms." I'm like,
Need a
that
chair-
doesn't
chair,
sound
Jim?
like anybody's
No, I'm good.
alarm.
You all right? All right. Well, we can get started. Those of you that have not met before, I'm David Plum. I'm the wing commander. So we asked for this meeting, so here I am. I guess, I don't know, biggest thing is where we're going to go from here. And so basically, Lieutenant Colonel Wachowski is the current commander. Our goal is he's not going to be that permanently. Okay, that's but he's what we call it the interim. Although, interim is there's no real word for that. It's just you're the commander until somebody tells you you're not the commander. So I'm the Nebraska wing commander till region or national says I'm not the commander. So, I guess the biggest thing, I know you all have a lot of questions. Probably most of them I'm not going to be able to answer on the, like, what happened and why. But as far as where we're going and why I chose Colonel Wachowski to be the commander is because he has a lot of experience, Civil Air Patrol, and a lot of cadet programs experience and running programs. So, questions?
Well, we can start out with day one, I guess, right? Why that day was chosen and why it was done the way it was done when it's a cadet day and an open house day. And you guys discussed it before you guys came and you decided to go ahead.
Kind of an
and
embarrassment
proceed.
to the community, to
And
GAP.
then you did
Really?
clear the building, right, of cadets or public before you guys started your meeting.
Well, I'm not gonna talk about that. I mean, we waited till the end of the open house, okay?
Are you the wing commander?
I am.
Do you think you should clear the building?
I am gonna say, we waited till the end of the night. I spoke to Greg Vaughn. He said he was in charge that night, even though Cameron Graham was here, because Isaac wasn't here. So at the end of the night, I said, I need to talk to the senior members. And I said, this is what we're gonna do.
Just to,
People proceeded to yell at, hold on.
okay, I was just going to make a clarification. The reason that Greg Vaughn was in charge that night is because it was a recruiting thing and he was the recruiting officer. So he was the project officer for it. That's why he
You know
was in
what? You're not
charge.
gonna record this. We're not doing that.
What are you hiding?
I'm not hiding anything. But at the same
There's
time,
parents-
what purpose does it serve?
Because there are parents that are out of town that want to know from
Well,
you,
you know what? I've
because
been here
otherwise
twice
it's
now.
hearsay.
No,
You
I've
were-
been
you
here
were
twice
here-
now.
You were here on.
You were
what-
here on a
what was
night
the
that
day?
we
On the
said
8th?
we.
You know what, but I'm just gonna say, I've been here twice now.
On the 8th, right? Is that
We
one of
are
them?
not going to record this.
Was the 8th one of the days that you're talking about?
Could have been, I don't know.
Come
I
on.
travel a lot, sir. It might have been. May 8th?
I know
believe
where
it
I'm
was.
at all the time.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm under the impression that your personal profession is chiropractic care. Is that correct? You run a business, your own business?
No, I don't. I'm not a practicing chiropractor anymore.
Okay, so you have a full-time job?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you have a full-time job,
I do.
and what is that?
I work for the federal government.
Okay, perfect. So you have to know what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it. I am a mom of 7. You want to talk about chaos? I can very much tell you exactly when and where I am at all times. Now, if you are going to be a wing commander, I think it would behoove you to at least carry a pad and paper to keep things written down and organized if you're going to run as a wing commander.
Okay.
Agree or disagree?
Well, I don't know. I don't agree or disagree.
How?
So the issue I'm seeing here, and you knew we had an open house, you chose to come anyways. You knew that no one was going to be here on May 8th. You chose to make the meeting that day anyways. It was a community event, and you knew no one was going to be here, but you chose that day. So that's on you, okay? So we are here now, and we
Okay,
want
we're here.
some
I came
answers.
back.
And you're still not providing them. There are parents that can't be here now because school's out and there are activities going on. So what are
So
you
Dan,
hiding
go
that
ahead.
we can't share the information? Because otherwise it's hearsay. It's us trying to relay. You ever play the telephone game?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Information gets lost, okay? So we're trying to avoid information getting lost as we relay answers to the rest of the parents.
Okay.
So the question still stands, I guess.
Well, let me
Why-
ask-
Why you chose that night?
Why I chose that?
Why you chose, why would you
Well, let me go ahead.
no, why would you choose a cadet meeting night when you probably should have called a senior meeting on a non-cadet meeting night?
With just the two, give them the respect that Cap says. If you're gonna remove them from office, that should have been a conversation with those two,
Okay.
not with the
Was-
rest of the cadets here, not with the
Well, they were
community
not here
here.
for me to have that conversation. So to answer your question,
Who
and
wasn't?
to your question, my job, I travel a
Who
lot.
wasn't here though? What are you talking about?
So
Who
your
wasn't
job is creating a
Well, the-
problem for you to
The
handle your role.
commanders were not here.
When?
Why
here?
didn't
When,
you check
cause you
ahead
didn't
of
make a
time?
meeting, you're not listening to what
No,
was
I
said.
don't have to
So-
schedule an appointment to meet
How-
with the squadron commanders.
Nobody said that, but
That's
you
what
could
you
have.
just
Then how do
No,
you get them to be there? if you're
Because
not
we're
gonna
talking-
check?
we're talking-
Stop.
We're talking about
No, stop.
respect.
Stop.
We're talking about minors. We're talking about an open house. We're talking about cadets still in here. You're the wing commander for the state. You're in charge of that whole thing. So don't pass it off onto Greg.
I'm
Don't
not
pass
passing
it off
off
onto
on
nobody
anybody.
else about not having the building clear. You're the guy in charge. You're the top dog here. You should have
Let
the
me ask
building
you a
clear.
question.
That's what
So
I'm
when
saying.
I said, we're gonna change the commanders of the squadron, why wouldn't the cadets need to hear that?
Then why did you do it during the cadet meeting then?
Well, because they were talking to people who are not part of the squadron.
Okay, so you're
We
gonna,
waited till the end of the night.
you're gonna drop that.
Which one are you doing though? Are you saying that you're talking to
All
senior
right, let me
members,
ask,
or are you saying that
okay,
you're
we're not
talking to
doing
the whole
this. You're not gonna just
the
keep
whole
changing
thing?
the question.
You
I'm gonna
answer
give
the
you
question.
an
Question.
answer.
Answer.
Let's go back to the first question.
First question.
Answer that one.
First question, why was it done on open house?
That's the
Whether
question.
people were in the building or not, let's just ask that first one.
Mahalski.
Why was it
we
done on
had
open house?
Mahalski on, right, when we had the parent meeting, Mahalski said he talked to you about it. He said it wasn't a good idea. we have already.
The date of that
discussed
was
already.
the 24th of April.
And
And you
then
said
and then
yourself-
You
Well,
decided
you know
to do
what?
it.
Okay, well, that was his opinion, that it wasn't a good idea.
And you said yourself
But
that
at
you
the same
felt
time,
bad because you had family
I
commitments.
felt it needed to be done.
For
Okay.
what?
And-
On open house night.
To
Not
re-
on, it just, we needed to do that. It didn't matter which
pick a
night it was.
different-
So why
Yeah,
did
but
So
it
why are
did,
you,
but
let me
it
ask you,
did.
we did this at the end of the night. Nobody that was not a member was here.
The
They had all
cadets
left.
didn't
My
need to be
cadets were
here.
here.
Okay,
You traumatized my cadets.
how did I do that? But all I said was,
With-
these
no,
people are not gonna do
it was not what you said. It was not the words you said. It was the actions and the attitude and the volume of which it was relayed.
If you're gonna remove their trusted leaders, these are kids, they trust these people, they're their mentors, and you come in with no reason whatsoever, blindside them and say, sorry, we're removing you from office, and you don't think that's gonna upset kids? Yeah, we're raising our kids to be tough and to overcome obstacles, yes. But that's not how you do that. And as an adult that is in a leadership role with children, you should know that is not cool how you handled that with the kids.
Well, that's your opinion.
That's the opinion of a lot of people, that was not handled well, to just come in and remove people without any explanation, without any prior meeting, without no proof of wrongdoing. Multiple people have said there has been no wrongdoing.
Which multiple people?
Well, Wilma has told me that there has been no cadet
It's not a
cadet
cadet
safety
protection
infraction.
issue, we agreed with that,
Okay.
that is correct.
Okay, so the reasons that you chose to tell Isaac are, there's no grounds to this. You're telling him there's financial issues, you're telling him there's vehicle asset issues, okay? So where in the past year have you had disciplinary conversations with
Well, we have
Cameron
5
and Isaac?
outstanding receipts currently that we don't have from
Okay.
the squadron.
Okay,
So that we were told that we weren't getting them.
so there were receipts that were turned in late because you took the keys away from the finance officer that had the receipts and the laptop in this building,
Sure.
okay?
Okay.
So those were late.
When are the receipts
Okay.
from?
It
If
does,
there's
you know what,
other
look,
receipts
here's the
prior
deal,
to
we
him-
are not gonna go through all of this. So the beef I get is, why did we do it open house night?
Because you had
Well,
personal
because that was
family
when we were
reasons.
coming up here, okay?
Pick a
As you
different
see
night.
in my schedule, can I get this out, please?
No, no,
So when
procedures.
in my schedule, you said, was May 8th? Yes, that was the day, May 8th. I just wanna make sure that was the right date. So May 8th, I was here, basically 4 weeks ago, correct? So since that night, that I think it was April 17th, is that the date?
That was the open house.
So April 17th to tonight, I've been here, well, this is the second time, okay? All those other Thursdays, I've either been in Texas or down in Wichita, Kansas, okay? So I travel a lot for my job, I do,
So
okay?
maybe
So-
Region needs a new wing.
I think you may be stretched too far, sir.
Well, that's your opinion, okay? So,
Then I can
at the
take
same
the vote
time,
anyway.
but that doesn't mean I have to be here, I have to depend on the folks to run the unit, okay? So you're upset because of how we removed the folks, okay?
They're
Well,
just-
if we
they're
would have
just
done it a week
professional.
later, you probably still not be very happy.
They're-
It's how you
It all
handled
started
it.
with the very beginning right there though, right? And it's very professional.
Okay.
In any organization, if you're gonna remove somebody from a role that has not done any major infractions, there's no theft, there's no safety issues with cadets, where was the protocol that was being followed to give them
I
a
follow the
chance?
protocols of the way
Well,
the
that's-
regulation is written.
Okay,
Could we-
so
could you
was
walk
there,
us through that?
what's
What
the
what
regulation?
regulations?
What's the
Well,
protocol?
So
What's the
in Civil Air
process?
Patrol, the way this works is commanders serve at the will
Leisure,
of the
you said that the
commander,
last time.
right? So currently, squadron commanders can be in command until,
What's-
if I decide they need to not be removed, I can remove them.
but
There's
there should be
nothing in the
grounds.
regulation, there's nothing in the regulation that says that.
Is there
Okay.
a
So
process to it?
There is no
Personal
process, there is, the
decision.
process
What's the
is,
process?
as the commander, I say, you're no longer the commander, so-and-so's
So
the
you have a
commander.
personal
That
grievance.
is no, that is nothing, it is business.
But if you
not
had one, you
personal.
could do that.
Okay, so if
Okay.
it's not a personal grievance, that's what I'm saying.
It's not.
In any organization, because I've worked in various fields and I've dealt
Okay,
with
have you read
government
our
things.
regulation?
Okay,
You're
Have
saying
you
they're
that's
not
what we're
regulated.
asking you.
5-5?
I'm asking you. If there is somebody doing something wrong, which you say that they did, and that's why you removed them, did you give them a chance to correct those actions? Did you actually have a training time with them? Or did you just go, you know what, I don't like you, so I'm gonna put somebody else in charge?
I never said didn't like anybody.
Okay, well, that's kind of how it's coming across,
Well, I'm
because you
sorry
just
it appears
said,
that way, but
I
that's not
chose
the
to
case.
do this because my guidelines say that I can, okay? So what protocols did they break? What regulations
Well,
did they
I
break?
can't get
I know
into
you
any of
can't
that.
get into
I
that,
can't,
but you refuse to admit that they did any of that. You're pretty much telling us you chose to do this because you can. That's the
Well,
only
you just
reason you've
mentioned
given.
some things that I don't know where you heard that from. Well, I'm assuming I understand.
Because we've been left to do this on our own and figure it out because we're not getting any answers from anybody.
So as a family,
Right.
yeah, we sit down as a
Yeah,
family, we have
absolutely.
conversations, we talk, and we get to the bottom of it.
Okay.
But we're not getting to the bottom of it with any help from anybody else.
So part of
So-
the question is, did you do any training and
Any
try to
coaching,
resolve the
any,
problem?
Well, we
Redirections.
did ask for, there are certain things that we did ask for,
Which
and
were-
those, I can't get into
And
that.
did you do any
Okay.
training?
It's not my job to do that training.
Whose job
Okay.
is it?
It is, well, you know, Civil Air Patrol, we don't have, our senior member training program, and it's not essentially, we don't have whether it's squadron officer school or commander's courses, I know those courses have changed. But if they've done those, then that's that. But I have no requirement in the way the organization is set up to sit down with commanders and say you have to do these things. Okay? It's incumbent upon this person that says, I'm gonna be the squadron commander to figure out how to run the unit. Okay? And when they're not running that unit, and then we will go and make it better.
If you have expectations of this squadron and they are not being met, you're gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater and just start over? Or you're gonna take a moment to say, hey, sir, ma'am, how can I help you? Because this is all volunteer, correct? All
Yes,
parents
you are correct,
volunteer.
I am a volunteer.
Okay. I am very involved in a parent volunteer organization. It is extremely hard to find adults who want to volunteer their time, especially adults who don't have personal stake in it as a cadet in this, to volunteer their time, and then instead of saying, hey, I don't want to lose this person because they're volunteering their time to invest in young folks, that is something that is very concerning. Just to say, well, you didn't do it right, I'm gonna kick you out because I
Nobody
can.
kicked anybody out of anything. All I simply said was, you can't be the commander.
okay, well, we have a
We
commander
never,
now
we
that's
never,
following
So
the
then-
board.
so then how do we get a new commander?
Hold on. That's where some of this is, I don't understand. Because I've read things that said, oh, we banned people, we kicked people out. We didn't do any of that.
Well, what do you call
Yeah,
taking
what
keys
do you-
away? What do you call
All I
taking
simply
resources
said
away?
was this, you're not gonna be the commander of the unit anymore.
Well, then why ask for things back?
Have they gotten their keys back?
Have we gotten the card back? Do we have access
What?
to function correctly?
Well, you never lost that.
Okay,
Yes, they did.
have you been able to pay for
sweet, baby
encampments?
Jesus, take me now.
Okay, but you had to go through all sorts of odd channels because you didn't have the ability to just swipe a card. So,
We paid for two or three. Well, I know we paid for one of the cadets to go to Honor Academy, and I believe we're in the midst of paying for some encampments. I think that's going on. That never stopped. Okay, it's a total misunderstanding of one of the reasons the keys were taken and locks were changed was so the new commander could do the inventory.
With
Because
nobody
now
else present.
they are responsible for the inventory. No, they were the commander and the deputy, and then the wing
Okay.
logistics officer.
Anybody from Fremont present?
Thank you.
Was there any
Yeah, the
leadership
Fremont
from
Squadron commander was
No.
present.
No,
Any former
See,
prior
this is
to
where
these
you're
guys coming
misunderstanding
in?
something. This Fremont Squadron is part of Civil Air Patrol.
Mhm.
Okay?
Do you realize how shady this feels, though? That you're going to come in and you're going to remove the
When you
ability
say I'm
for...
coming in like I'm an outsider.
You
You
are.
are.
These kids
They
don't
don't
know
know
you.
you.
We
No,
don't
the
know
parents
you.
don't know you. You have
This is the
not
first
come
time
to an
I've
actual
met you.
meeting.
I have emailed you
Same.
constantly with no response.
We don't
I
know
have
these
emailed
guys.
you multiple
so-
times. And the first response I get is, hey, this is the meeting. And these are the guidelines and the rules of this meeting. I'm sorry, but I'm not a child. I'm not going to physically raise my hand because as an adult, we have the right to talk when we want to talk. You want respect, we want respect. We want respect for our leaders, for our children.
And transparency.
If you're wanting to do inventory of capped assets, that's fair. That's an annual thing at any company, if not more frequently, okay? But why remove the people that know where things are unless there's something sneaky going on?
I needed a pair of pants for my cadet. A pair of ABU pants. I needed them for my kiddo.
How many weeks
I'd
did it
wait
take?
I'd take 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, because nobody here that is here on a regular basis or here in town where I can pick up the phone and say, hey,
So he
could I
comes
get
in
into the
uniform.
building? Because we've got things coming up. Could I get into the building to get a pair of ABU pants for my kiddo? Absolutely. Meet me down there in 10 minutes.
Yep.
Nobody here was available. But that's what I love about the leaders that we have. Because I can call them up. Hey, my kid is struggling. Can you help them? Can you help teach my daughter how to make a tight bun? Done. Hey, can you help me get pants? Absolutely. I talk with Lieutenant Vaughn constantly. I see her once a week when I go to the chiropractor. I see them at grocery stores. We attend homeschool meetings together. We are very close, and I can say, hey, I'm struggling. Can you take my kid to CAP? Can you pick my kid up? Can you help them do this? Can you help? There was nobody here. I had to wait 2 weeks. And then I had to be escorted and babysat by someone who is not familiar here. They didn't even know where the light switches were. Thank the Lord, my 16-year-old son, who grew up in that building over there, knows where things are. Because none of your people that you put in place can lead this building and this squadron because they don't know. You didn't even take the opportunity or the chance to come in and observe.
Or work as a team. There has
There is
been no
team
effort.
effort in this. And listen, I know what he's going to say. That's your opinion.
Can you at least acknowledge how it looks and how it feels? I mean, you may not agree with how we feel, which is fine, because you're entitled to your opinion on that. But can you at least acknowledge what it looks like? Because it
As a parent,
does look a lot like what everybody's saying.
If somebody came in to your home and said, you get out, we need to do an assessment of all of your things, and somehow or another, things just disappear, you'd be okay with that.
So to answer your question, as this is a Civil Air, this facility is a Civil Air Patrol facility,
But it's our home.
okay? But it's still a Civil Air
It
Patrol. The signature on the contract
Mhm.
is signed by the folks at National Headquarters.
Okay,
So Fremont Squadron, this is your home for the unit, okay? I'll give you that, because you're in Fremont, okay? So, yes, but at the same time, you know, the wing, it's still Civil Air Patrol, okay? So you keep talking about, well, strangers, okay? So
There's
we
been
got
no
one cadet,
effort.
hold on. You've got a cadet going to Cadet Honor Academy, and I believe that's held at Maxwell Air Force Base. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the where's the
Well, I
cadets
mean,
go?
it's your CAP program.
That's where they move these things around. The last time I know, they
Well,
were
as a wing
there. I don't
commander,
know
you
if
should
it's
know
there.
where things are.
If you're gonna send your cadet to, are you recording, Isaac? So, you know, there's an integrity here. I ask you not to do that.
Is there integrity here though?
What's that?
On all ends, is there integrity?
Well, I haven't,
Doing the
I
right
was
thing
thinking,
when no
here's
one's watching.
something.
If there was,
There-
if
there
there
was
was
people-
integrity, everybody in this room except for you agrees on the fact that you would not have come down on a cadet night
That's not
to
integrity.
do what you're doing. You would have sat down like a grown adult man, leader, with your people, right? With your people, your team, everybody back here that's a CAP senior member, your team. You would have sat down with your team and you would address some issues and try to resolve some things and try to figure some things out amongst adults as the wing commander.
Would you have been less mad if we had done that?
Yeah.
If the outcome still would have been the
Give
same
them a
thing?
chance to
And
actually
then on the same hand,
fix their errors.
I struggle to believe that there's nothing in there that says anything about needing any documentation or reasons. I would imagine
There's
there is.
I mean, based on, my kid
This is
just
a-
got his Wright brothers, based on the things and the steps that he had to go through in this very succinct ladder, I find it hard to believe there's
A
nothing.
national organization run by the Air Force.
National
Yeah, I mean,
It's overseen by the Air Force.
I fill out
Removing
a
command.
lot of paperwork for the kid to go to CN camp.
Oh my gosh,
Right?
you filled out
So you
paperwork
don't
this-
have paperwork
It's kind of crazy
that
that
you
don't
have
any
to keep
paperwork
track
to
of on
fill
your
out.
seniors that are volunteers that you're supposed to be keeping track of.
How
How
would
do you
anybody
prove
even, how would
anything?
anybody even know what they did wrong? How would you prove that anybody did
Right.
it wrong?
Well, and one of the things you claimed that is part of the reason they lost was the assets. So we're gonna circle back to that, cause we were talking about the keys. Okay, so you have people coming in that are not originally part of the Fremont Squadron to do this inventory assessment. Okay, so if you're accusing somebody of missing assets or incorrect assets, why are they not here to be able to prove, here it is, this is where it is, it's in this cupboard? I mean, like,
Well, we
how many weeks was it
So
since they came in to
can't
do
get
the
I
inventory?
can't get into
And they
that.
still didn't even know where the light switch
But
were.
it makes
So
it
how are
easy.
they
I
actually
can't get
doing
into that
inventory?
It makes it easy though.
Yeah, how
Say
did
again.
they do inventory when they didn't
So
know where the
again,
light
this
switch
is
was?
where,
Integrity?
this is where
Doesn't sound like
it seems very deceptive
Yeah.
that stuff's going on. You're accusing them of things, but they're not even able to defend themselves. They're not able to explain what's going on. You just come in with a blanket accusation. Where's the proof? So where's the integrity here? Where is the
So we're
respect?
not gonna show that, I mean, it's just, we can't get into that. I know you wanna go down that road. I can't, why?
You want us
Because
to trust,
because that is
you want us to
something I
trust
can't
these
get into.
leaders
So-
and
so
yourself
here's the
with our
deal.
children.
What prevents you from getting into that?
Well,
Yeah, there's
because
no- there's no policy
that's a
for it,
There's no
personnel-
policy.
there's
No
a it's a
policy, there's no
personnel issue.
paperwork.
Okay, if there's a personnel issue, where's the documentation that there's a personnel issue?
Well, it's in the regulation, so you can go to the regulation and.
So now there's
Which
regulations.
regulations?
I believe it's 35-3, I believe,
Okay,
on the membership, I believe.
okay, so what does it say?
I don't know it verbatim, I have to go read it.
Okay,
You rough it.
you have your phone, can you?
Rough it.
Look, I know everybody's mad
Avoidance,
because of what
okay.
happened, okay? But the real question is, what are we gonna do now? So, for now,
You,
Lieutenant Mahowski is the squadron commander.
Interim, and then how
And
long is
Lieutenant-
he to be interim? And then how do we assign a new permanent commander per the regulation and policies of every 4 years?
Well, we gotta get the unit on track, okay?
That's what we're-
It's
And
been
how
all week.
how off track were we
Where's it
to
off
even,
track?
because we don't have policies and procedures and paperwork to prove that we were even off track.
35
How off track are we?
It's like a membership termination appeal hearings.
So I'll have to go and look.
I mean, I
I
know
don't
when
have
I'm
a
gonna quote my
memory.
Bible, I'm gonna
you
know
know,
the book and
look,
chapter.
But the question
let's
is,
go back
it
to
would
the
probably be
volunteer.
easy to-
Let's go back to the volunteer
It'd
part.
be easy to know it if you're telling us that you know what they did wrong. There can't be that many things, so I know what my
Look.
guys did wrong.
Look, here's the deal. So we're gonna go forward from here. So Colonel Howski is gonna run the squadron for now.
For how long?
That depends on the unit. okay?
are we gonna
What-
actually, are we
what is
running
the
it?
unit?
It
In
depends
what
on the,
way?
I can't give you a
Okay,
minute.
you're
I
in
can't
charge
give
of
you-
him, so, what
Whether
is,
you-
is this gonna be a one-man show? Because that's what it's been
No,
so
there's
far.
Colonel
There's
Oppenheimer
been no
is the deputy
teamwork with
commander.
the seniors,
So-
there's been no
Oppenheimer,
teamwork
which one's
with.
Oppenheimer? Is Oppenheimer here?
and he was unable to be here
Roll call,
tonight.
no, okay.
I'm talking about the entire senior member team. Our team has worked together as a team. They work together. So far, there has not been
Well,
working
so I know
together.
for
It's
a
been
fact that
dictated.
Colonel Mahowski and Oppenheimer were here last week for a senior planning meeting that nobody showed up to.
Do you guys know about the senior planning meeting?
I already have all my stuff ready for the SUI, for safety.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of the senior
But
meeting?
that
It
wasn't.
was supposed to be for the
nobody
SUI.
showed- No, they sat here, I got a picture, Wilma was here as well, and they sat here, the three of them.
Was
and
there
talked
any
to each other.
communication
And none of the
given to senior
members showed
members?
up.
What's the communication?
What was the
About
communication?
I got an
Yes,
email
right.
that said that there was going to be a SUI work meeting, but since I already have all of my information for the SUI done,
Okay,
and I can hand it to him tonight, I didn't feel a need to be here to basically do what I've already done.
okay, that works for me,
Right? Open and honest.
and transparent.
Mm-hmm.
So if the squadron is off track, what needs to be done in order to get back on track?
Well, we only gotta get the cadets to show up on the meetings. We need the calendar to be shared with the squadron
As
commander.
parents, we chose to keep them away tonight because they did not need to be a part of this.
Well, that's
They're
fine.
already
That's
upset with
fine.
you, and
So
we're trying to
I
calm the
know
waters.
Colonel Mahowski's been asking for the calendar and for what happens when, and supposedly it's somewhere, I don't know where. Somebody says there's an
Maybe.
electronic one
Wasn't
somewhere.
there something about
Is that
having to
correct,
shut
or
all
no?
this down because
Yep.
it didn't fit regulations, so we did?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So-
we were told to shut it down and it got shut down.
All right, well, so did you create a new one?
Well, that's where he would
That's-
need to actually work with the,
So I've directed Colonel Mahowski, like, look, if the folks in the unit are not gonna share the calendar,
our
then
cadets
starting
usually
tomorrow,
plan
we're gonna have a
this.
new calendar, and we're gonna go forward. And you can choose to, what's gonna be leadership, whether it's gonna be aerospace, whether it's gonna be emergency services, character development, and all those programs are gonna function. So,
So how do you plan nights when you haven't even gotten to know the cadets, to know where they're at, to know what their goals are, to know, do you even know any of their names at this point, other than like maybe two of them? I mean, like, how do you plan events when you don't even know where they're at currently because you haven't bothered to work with the existing leadership? Wouldn't it be nice to actually work together with Greg and Missy, who are the ones that do a lot of the
well, I
daily
know
classes?
Colonel Mahowski and Colonel Oppenheim have showed up many nights to sit here by themselves. And everybody's just been busy being mad
I remember
because
showing up when
of
someone
how.
else was busy.
Let's see,
of how it happened.
I
we,
showed up several
cadets
times
were
and
ready
someone
to
was
come and
late.
have a PT night. They chose to cancel what, like an hour or two
Yeah.
beforehand.
May 1st was canceled
Because
because
of-
of an antenna.
An antenna on the other building that was done by noon.
Yeah.
But the meeting was canceled before that was even done, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you ruined that night for the cadets. The next night, you were all told ahead of time, there would be nobody here because of a pre-programmed,
Community
pre-planned community event.
The 15th, we asked you a month in advance to be here and you only told us a few days before, we can't do it.
So cadets did their night, and they ran it the way they normally do. We have leaders within the cadet program that work together to plan the calendar of events. But see, that would require actually having conversations with these cadets and the seniors to know that that's how this has been done. You want these cadets to take leadership roles, right? You want them to learn leadership, so they are leading their fellow cadets. And they are setting those schedules and those plans. And then they work with the seniors to help with those training times. So where is this teamwork? It hasn't been. It's been a one-man show dictating, oh, I'm gonna cancel the meeting. Oh, here's the meeting. Here, I'm gonna cancel this one. Oh, by the way, we're not gonna do this. Like, where's the communication? Where's having a conversation? So our cadets are
Well,
feeling
there again,
really, they're feeling
I'm gonna
hurt
go back to
because
last week when they sat here by themselves. And you.
what does that have to do with the cadets? That's not a normal cadet night.
It was, everybody, you could have came and sat and talked with them. The leadership, everybody, the senior members in the unit got the email and they could have came and they could have had that conversation.
So
where
this
we're
is a
stuck.
meeting, this is a parent meeting about our cadets.
Yep.
You can have that conversation on another night with seniors.
Cadets weren't
Well,
supposed
you
to
just
Because-
asked me why they didn't talk to him.
Because
And then the
last
question is
week,
why
I'm talking about
why
the
they don't
cadets.
talk to him.
The cadets are the ones that work together
Turn my
as
house,
a
can you come here a minute?
team. They work together as a team and figure out, you wanna talk about calendar, okay? So they do, those cadets work together and determine, okay, we're gonna do this night, we're gonna do this night. And then they work with their seniors on helping develop a plan for those nights.
So
Okay.
let me ask,
So,
so the who?
Last Thursday was not
who's
a
the cadet commander?
cadet night.
Cadet commander is Lieutenant Dunn.
Okay. How many conversations have you had with Cadet Dunn?
I've had about 3 different emails, and I've actually spoken with her one night to get stuff taken care of for Colonel Gross.
Okay.
So
So it sounds like he's making an effort.
That's good.
Okay, so the why, what, when, how, that's gonna be for him. And for you all to make sure your cadets are showing up to meetings and participating with the cadet commander, and that the cadet commander is talking to the squadron commander, who and then in turn is gonna utilize the rest of the senior members or staff that want to participate to show up and do what they've always done. There's nothing that said, nobody said they couldn't do what they've been doing. The only thing I said was, these people are not gonna run the squadron at the moment. And I put him in command of the unit. That's all I did.
And then you
I
go
didn't
and
ban
remove-
anybody, I
you
didn't throw
remove somebody
anybody
as a
out, I
testing
didn't yell at
officer,
anybody.
You remove.
I
you-
was cussed at, I was screamed at, okay? And then it was turned around that I was doing those things. I never said that.
When were you
All I
cussed and
did was
screamed
talk,
at?
okay? Say again?
When were you cussed and screamed
The
at?
first night. Okay? People using the F word at me, calling other members of the staff names. That was not us. The first night I said a few words. He didn't say a word. Colonel Oppenheimer didn't say a word. Major Ferguson, who was here, didn't say a word. I said a few words. But the rest of the yelling, the rest of the screaming, and all of the nonsense was coming this way.
You don't
okay?
think dropping that
And as
bomb
far as
on
some
them
of
is
these
gonna have some
emails,
heated-
these emails, you said, well, I didn't respond. Well, I'm tell you what. When you start accusing me of certain things and all these things and all this stuff in emails, there's no response. There's no response.
How about when you accuse inappropriate behaviors or inappropriate maybes between cadets and the senior members? Because our cadets are upset that their members were removed. Because,
Nobody
I'm
always
speaking,
said-
I let you
always
speak, okay,
said
it's my
was
turn, my turn,
they
my
can't
turn.
be
You
in
were talking
command
now, it's my
anymore.
turn, I can do this all day, I can do this all day.
What she's talking about.
So-
So this, in your meeting, when Mr. Chris Madsen came in, when all of us were at a community event, he even left his community event to come and speak with you. You said, I find it very odd, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, forgive me, that the cadets are so upset that these members are being moved, and they spent, what, maybe 2 weeks, or 2 hours-ish a week with them? My children have saw that interaction, and let's see, they wrote some things about that I would really love to highlight for you. So this is from Cadet McAuliffe. I noticed that in your interview you indirectly said that you think that there is weird activity between cadets and senior members because we're so upset about this sudden change of leadership. I'll explain why. I believe, and what I believe other cadets are upset about this, is respect. With time and a role of leadership in any other relationship, there's respect as a two-way street. One of my beliefs in respect is this: I will respect you as much as you respect me. Our senior members have our respect and vice versa. This did not happen overnight. Trust is another thing that takes time. It is very tedious to build and quickly to break. Trust is an incredibly essential to leadership. If you don't or cannot trust leadership, then why listen? That is part of the issue. Mr. Madsen said, this squadron is like a family, and leadership is a family. That is a family, and as the parents, they direct the children. I understand this issue personally as I was in the foster care system when I was younger and was introduced to new parental figures time and time again. You doubt them at first solely because you don't know them, and how can you trust a stranger? This is how the cadets and the parents see you, and
I'm
the
gonna
other.
go
Well,
back
I'm not
to-
finished. Hold on, please. Please
Ow.
respect my time. They don't know you, so when you come in to the open house night as probably the first time many of them have ever seen you, and you are strangers, and to them you do a very abrupt thing. He then says, as time goes, you get used to the parents and your trust and respect towards them increases. Our senior members have been our parents, so to speak, for many years. And as I said, it's hard to listen to someone who doesn't really know you. I believe it'd be wise to incorporate the new leadership figures in more activities with us, cadets. Being around potential leaders is smarter than not knowing who they are at all. And the other thing is I've noticed is very vague and unclear answers you make. So it's not just us parents, because listen, we have protected our children from a lot of this. That's why they weren't here on certain meetings. But when kids, there's two things in the world that have very clear things, that dogs and children, they can tell right away whether to trust somebody or not. And these kids, I have kept them from things. They ask me questions, and I say to them, I understand your frustration. I hear it, I see it, I feel it. Right now, I cannot give you those answers as I am still trying to clear up the waters, and I'm not going to misfeed you information. Okay? It is not us versus them thing. I don't want that, because then this squadron won't go forward.
That is correct.
However, in that same breath, with you coming with this facade, with this energy, I'm an empath, I can read your energy. You are so ready to fight with us, and we don't want to fight. We are frustrated. We need the answers here. We need transparency. We need people who are going to come into our meetings. The open house is not the right time. I understand you are a very busy person. We are all very busy. All very busy. So why not come in at the open house, see how it goes. Come to the next meeting, see how it goes. Come to more activities, see how it goes. Integrate yourself.
See how successful they are
slowly
before you
to
remove
see
them.
who they are. Hey, Cadet McCullough, I'm Colonel Plum. I'm in charge of blah, blah, blah. Here's programs. How are you liking this? How are you doing this? This is how my kids have come to love Sergeant Piper and Lieutenant Vaughn and all the other, excuse me if I get the ranks and the things wrong and the last names. That's how they come to know and trust these guys. That's how I can put my kids in the car with Martinson and let them go up to the South Dakota encampment. That's why I'm okay with them going, because he's going to
But
be
they don't
there
know the
all
people at
week.
the South Dakota encampment.
They know him.
But they don't know the commanders and
They know
everybody that's going to run
him.
the unit.
And when they have an issue, when they have
When they start
problems,
yelling at them and dump their suitcases out at the first day,
right,
like they do at
have been
encampment.
prepared
Can
for
you-
that.
Which they
Stop
shouldn't.
And let her finish talking.
They have been prepared for that by our
I
cadets
think
who
that
have
was one of the
gone.
rules.
They've been prepared by cadets who have gone to encampment, by our leaders who say, hey guys, this is what's going to happen. Miss Yvonne, that week that we had PT, stood out there and said, hey, this is what is to expect. You guys are going to encampment, come here, let's talk about this. Those who are not going, they drilled over here. Your boys were drilling when they came.
Mhm.
The other ones, we sat here, we said, this is what to expect. Here's what's to happen. And our leaders, not with soft gloves, kitten hands, they're real with them. But you guys did not come in and try to take a minute to say, hey, Cadet so-and-so, Cadet Offenkamp, how are you doing today? How are you doing? What can I help you with? When are you going to test next? When are you going to promote? What can we do to help promote you?
The rug's just been looked out from underneath them.
And us parents, we're circling our wagons around our children because those are our most valuable asset. I understand that this is a volunteer program and you have rules and regulations, but these, again, at the very end of the day, are our children. And I need you to respect that.
Well, I do respect that. You
You're
get
not
to pick.
showing
And that's
that.
what I say. You get a pick. Okay? So, how Civil Air Patrol functions in Nebraska, well, that's my responsibility right now. Okay? That's my responsibility. And I take that very serious. Okay? So the things we are doing, are not done lightly. It appears to you that it was very quick, knee-jerk reaction,
How come
something,
it-
something. Hold on, I get it, Chuck, don't I? Okay, so just because, you know, it's like, well, you didn't do this expectation, your expectation of me, like, well, that's not that is not something I need to do. Okay. Now, is it very important to me? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, I've been in this program for 23 years. Okay. Person in the back of this room is responsible for me standing here. Okay. Colonel Cuttis asked me 2020 to 2010 if I would be the Nebraska Wing Commander. I said, maybe. Talk to your family, blah, blah, blah. I live not too far from here, but far enough. Makes it not easy. And I did that, and I've been
Took
as
time to
commander from
process.
2010 to 2014. Okay? And I've been serving at the region level. New region commander said, hey, Nebraska Wing needs a commander at the moment. Will you go and do this? I said yes. I don't really have the time, but I will do it. I will make the time. So I make the time to do this, okay? So I need to come to Fremont and spend all this time, do all this stuff. You know, we have about 12 other units in the wing that I have to take care of, plus I have to take care of everything else. I'm not wanting you, I'm not standing up here saying all this for you to feel sorry for me. I don't expect that. I don't want that. I don't want that, okay? But I want you to understand that when this was undertaken, it was known it was not going to be popular. Okay? It was known that it was going to be difficult. Okay? Now, to be honest with you, I didn't think it was going to be this difficult. Okay? Some of these these things that I've read make my head spin. And the things people say in those emails. Wow.
So,
Okay? And the accusations that were made against me. He made a video, put it out, and asked Jeff a bunch of questions. He put it out on, well, I don't know where. People send me all these these pictures of comments. Now, I don't care. You probably researched my social media. I don't really have a social media. Okay? I don't make comments. I don't post nonsense. Okay? Doesn't mean I don't look at it. But I don't believe in that. And and you know, the Nebraska Wing is going through why I'm the commander. It's going through a tough time. And it's very divided. And we're trying to undo that. But it's a very slow process. It's a baby step system. Okay? It's baby steps. And one of the things we looked at is Colonel Gross moved to the wing about a year ago from Illinois. Now, funny little sidebar story to that is I look him up, and Gary's been a member so long that most of his records were destroyed in a fire in St. Louis back in, I don't know, the 90s, early 2000s sometime. So if you look at his e-services record, it doesn't look like he's done anything. But he's done all sorts of stuff. He was a member in Illinois, I believe Wisconsin, and last part of was Illinois.
what's that got to do with?
Well, just let me get there.
Okay.
Let me just get there. So when you talk about people. So I look him up because I'm like, he wants to be the cadet programs guy. Well, I don't see that he's done any cadet programs work. So I email his current squadron commander. I'm like, hey, this guy's moving here. What do you know about him? He says, boy, I wish he hadn't moved. We want to keep him. Me and Gary had about an hour conversation on the phone, and he said, yeah, I'll do this job. I said, great, you can do the job. And I haven't had to look back. I haven't had to touch anything he's done. And he's kept me informed. He's done what's asked of him, volunteered thousands of hours. lots of his own money. What's this have to do with this? What that has to do with this is me being able to run the wing. So it was my decision that the best thing for the Fremont Squadron was to change the squadron leadership, okay? And you wanna know why? And you wanna know why I picked that particular day? Well, it just happened to be the day.
How
It was
can you-
just a coincidence.
Okay,
Okay,
all
but
this
how
time-
can you remove somebody without physically being here to see how they run it?
Well, I can see through the reports
You've
and
done
most
a-
things how that works.
You've
okay?
done a
But it,
report. You
I
have
get
a
it,
lot
I get
of
it, I
thought
get
into
it. I know you
this.
don't understand, and I
So-
don't expect you to understand,
You
and
got
I'm cool,
a lot
I'm
of
okay
thought
with
has
that.
gone into a lot of your personal decisions. Okay, did you give them a chance to actually, I mean, like,
I did actually, but you know what, here's the thing. When you're running the program, same as I'm being asked to run the program, and if I don't do the things that I need to do, or make sure the things that need to be done are done, then somebody above me is gonna go, hey, you're not doing that, you're done. And quite honestly, if they came to me and they said, hey, you're no longer the wing commander, I'd be like, "Oof, okay. And then I would,
I've had to fire people before.
I would,
But it's never
you know
on
what,
a
I would
whim.
say, who's gonna be the commander? Oh, so-and-so.
Mr.
I would
Mayor,
say,
you wanna
look,
say something?
here's,
You want my talking stick?
here you go. Okay, here's everything we're doing, here's who you need to talk to, here's what's up, okay? I would not, but that's not what happened here when we removed the commander, okay? Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Colonel Plum, right?
Yep.
So my question is, you said you got these reports, right? About what's going on in the squadron, correct?
Okay,
Who does the reporting? Like, is it like a third?
Well, the
party
unit
member?
does it.
It's a third party member, or is
no,
it?
it's in our systems and it's,
Okay.
it's required, you know, whether it, and I'm just gonna, and I'm just, because Jim brought up safety, it's safety reporting, which I'm not gonna get into what, when, where.
No, I just
It's
wanted to
logistic
know.
reports, it's cadet reports, it's attendance reports, it's all sorts of things.
Okay, yeah,
There's,
that's just my
it's just, and it's all in e-services for the most
Okay.
part, it's all electronic, and push of a button, you can see that stuff.
Okay.
So-
I just had that question.
Yep.
So in a
yeah.
professional setting, when you have to fire somebody, it's not just on a whim. You've made it a point that you think things through before you make decisions for
And
your
it was-
personal
It
life.
was not a whim.
Okay, but it was to these guys, so
I understand.
where did you give them a chance
Well,
to get,
that's.
hey, this
I'm
is
not
what we
gonna-
need to do,
Mhm.
this is where I need this squadron to be.
Sure.
You said you've got 12, okay, that's manageable, work, hey, I'm not seeing this is what we need to do. I'm gonna give you 90 days, 60 days, whatever days, to do something, to fix this, okay? Oh, by the way, we're gonna give you 2024's Squadron of the Year, because you're doing such a great job, but then we're gonna turn around in April and remove the people that got us there from their roles. So how is it we go from one extreme to the other when there's nothing in there that said, hey, we'd like some help from your squadron to get things corrected. We need to fix things. So what can we do?
Yeah, well, those,
Let's
those,
work
those,
together
those
as a
things were,
team,
those things
Because this
were,
reflects on me, you
those,
just
those
said
things
that.
were communicated, and there were things that didn't happen.
I
So,
did.
at the end of the day, I'm just gonna agree to disagree with that.
Okay, but some of those.
So, but going,
some of those
so
things
I
affect
wanna
our
move this
cadets.
forward, so we're,
We'll
I'm
leave
done
you alone
talking about.
if we do more information, but obviously we're digging our heels in because it just doesn't make sense.
It's
That's
very-
the
it's-
whole
I understand
reason.
We want our cadets.
But there's so much of it I
to
can't
trust
talk
these
about.
people.
Crazy to get the awards over there, and then just a couple months
So which-
later, then this happened.
He said during his talk with Chris was, and paraphrasing was, the only reason we got those awards was because we were the only ones nominated.
I remember.
Which
something like
is basically just saying, you know, and because my son wrote this, he's like, your statement just said that we put no hard effort or work into it, and all of our awards were by chance and no effort. A leader should never degrade his squadron,
That's fine. I
and that
respect
he's gonna
that.
say, that's your own opinion, which is again so blatantly disrespectful and disregarding. Like, these kids have worked their asses off here, and with their leadership. So, moving forward, you've got Wałowski, whatever, okay? He's the
So we
interim.
were just talking about respect.
Because I don't know how to say his name or pronounce it because he's
I don't
never
know.
been
I don't know
around.
if he's introduced his by
He's
name.
never been. So I know for sure his name is Jeffrey. Okay? So you put Jeffrey in charge. His plan of action is to take how long to get us on track? You still have not said what we need to be on track because if I remember correctly, there is no paper trail of paperwork
So
anymore.
this is Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Mikowski.
Close enough.
See?
You can't even.
See, even you don't know how to pronounce it.
I have a very difficult last name as well. I have a
Yeah,
very
so
difficult
you
last
understand
name.
where I'm coming from.
Well, the thing is, that he was insulting her for it.
Well,
So
it's
like,
Maholsky, the C is silent, it's not,
Maholsky.
yeah,
So
so there you go, and
phonetically,
it's done.
Do you
Maholsky.
have
Yes.
a name to
There we go.
that again?
Okay, yes ma'am.
I think part of the reason that the frustration is building amongst our family is because in the last parent meeting, Mikulski told us the same thing you're saying, which is basically, I can't talk about that, I cannot give you answers, but I will get Plum here so that he can give you answers. So now we're here today, and we're hearing the same thing.
Because it's the same answers.
I think we got
It's
more
personnel-
answers
it's
from your
person-
wife.
I was
than
gonna-
you did.
It's
We
personnel
did,
issues
yeah.
that I can't get into.
Who all here?
So how come his wife
Hold on.
knows the answers? Cause she alluded to that at the meeting and then she backpedaled her way out
Who,
going,
who
oh
all,
shoot.
who all should know what went on?
Can
Well,
they
they
know?
Why
I was
does
gonna
his
say-
wife
I
know
said-
that she has nothing to do with
Can our
it?
seniors know what they did wrong?
Do those who were removed from command know why they
Yes,
were
they
removed
do.
from command?
I sent a letter.
When?
On
Well,
the
I sent a letter
23rd of
when-
May.
It was,
I
it
sent a
was
letter.
very,
Second, but
22nd.
postmarked a week later.
Not soon enough, not good enough.
Hey.
Okay, look, we're.
Oh, come on, man, you're backpedaling.
No, I'm not. I sent the
You
letter.
can't send it.
So, you know, and here's the thing, so I keep reading, there's, so we keep talking about protocols and requirements and these things, and.
Mr. Maholsky,
There
you're
was-
all lieutenant,
there
I
was a
don't
protocol
do
because
race very
You
well. Where'd you go?
physically had to
Okay.
send a letter to them. So there
There's
is a
nothing in the
protocol
regulation that says I
somewhere.
have to do that, but
But
I
you
did do that.
did.
I'm sure
Out of
there
the
is
kindness of
Because I was
somewhere.
directed to do that.
I am sure there is
So
somewhere in that
somebody,
booklet
so
that
my
says
boss
that you
said, hey,
have
this
to
is
do
what we
it.
need to do. I said, okay, I will do that.
So you
So
were
that-
told above you to
Yep.
do this.
Yep, they told me I had to send a letter, so I did.
Oh, they said the letter up there told you, people up there told you to send the letter. But it was
Exactly.
your
Should.
direct line of
Should.
decision.
okay, so obviously we know they failed. What do we need to do to move forward then? What do we need to do to succeed? Because that might actually answer what we supposedly are failing.
So what we would love to see is this sense of work together attitude. That's what we want. Okay?
That
Our whole
goes
goal
both
is to
ways.
get, but our whole goal is to go forward. Okay, and we can't do that if all we're doing is continually talking about what happened.
I just asked what.
I get it, everybody's mad about what happened and how it happened.
Just the how.
I
Okay?
stood in
And-
front of my crew, that is 100 direct reports, okay? When I made a bad decision and I made a wrong move, told that by my people. They're a pretty big group, right? I've had to eat crow.
Okay, well, I didn't make a bad decision, then we're not going backwards.
The bad
Okay.
decision was the coming in on the night when the cadets were here.
Well, okay, that, if
That's
that's,
your opinion.
you know, if you think that was, I don't necessarily agree with you,
Maholsky.
and I
thinks the
didn't
same
necessarily
thing.
agree with,
Okay,
okay?
but I don't get
If
why
that's
you
just-
were
hey,
there.
listen, that's,
Why can you
listen,
not
that's
just
just,
accept
Yeah,
that
you
that was a
acknowledge
bad
how
night
you
and
feel.
say, you know what?
Sense.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Say that. That would be great to hear. To hear you say that you are
That's
sorry
building
because you
respect.
came in on an open house night.
well, I'll say it this, let me say it this way. I am sorry that you were offended. Okay?
Oh, my
Narcissism.
That not good
Lanta.
enough, that?
No,
Let me
because
look
it
up
is
the
a
definition of
narcissistic
gaslighting.
answer.
Look,
Should,
I did
should,
no wrong.
what's your name?
So, Megan, you mentioned that you want, going forward, you wanna work with, you want a team effort around here, am I understanding that correctly?
Sure.
Okay. So, After all of this chaos took place, my son was supposed to take his Wright brothers, okay? Lieutenant Vaughn walked Sutton, he literally held his hand to make sure that he could meet this accomplishment. I spoke to Missy and said, hours. And then it got postponed and all hell broke loose and he was still studying. So I talked to Missy and I say, hey, okay, finally, is tonight the night? He's so ready to take this test. Is tonight the night? Yes, tonight's the night. I did my due diligence to email.
You got 93, and you did very well.
To email Mikulski and say, just keeping you in the loop since you are our interim commander, trying to be respectful of the situation, and said, Sutton is coming tonight to take his Wright brothers. 2 hours before he gets here, Missy is removed from testing officer.
Well,
So
I had
Sutton
to-
walks
yeah.
into a situation where he's like, whoa, what, wait, this is not what I was expecting. Missy's not here, this isn't what she told me it would be like. So I'm confused how that
But you got a
is-
93?
That's
Why-
not,
That's
he's
not
been
the
studying
point.
for 6 weeks. My question is, how is that reflective of you guys working together as a team?
When you choose to remove her and put somebody in as you said, we had to pull a backup person just in case she didn't come. She had planned on being here until
She
you
was
removed
going-
her.
Yeah, she told me.
So when you remove her, like, what am I supposed to do? Like,
And then you've also gotta think
and
that there's
then,
a
but then you
14-year-old
go, well,
kid
it's
involved
just
in
in
this
case
too.
she wouldn't come. Why would she not have come when she coordinated this with the cadet?
She gives no
So,
indication
so
of
this,
never
this,
not coming.
yeah.
So this is where
could have-
respect
this-
is
this
not
could have
coming
been a-
from
I
you.
agree, this could have been a lot smoother. I'll agree with you there.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you for saying at least that.
Yes, this has gotten, like I said earlier, this is way, I knew it was gonna be,
It's out of hand, I mean, that's.
well, it is.
And I
It
don't feel
is,
sorry
and
that
I
you have to
think,
cook her.
it-
You made this, you made
This
this
is your
mess.
Well-
mess you made in the bed you got away in.
Sometimes you
look,
have
look,
to show up to
I've
clean it
I've
up.
seen squadrons change command before. I've been parts of that, and I've never seen it quite as challenging as this has become. Okay.
Who all
So-
should know about the change of command? Why there was a change of command? Who all should know that?
Well, I sent a memo, I
No.
sent a letter to,
Okay, sorry.
to the, so,
You?
I just can't talk about that. What's
You-
that?
You would know,
I would know.
the two people.
They know.
They know why.
They know,
Who else would know?
that's it.
Okay.
Well, the parts of my staff, you know, but
Who
that's
would
an
be those
internal
parts of your
issue.
staff?
That's what I say in turn, that's what the
Is
region,
Crystal-
the deputy commander of the wing,
Is,
the deputy commander of the wing
is
and the
Crystal
chief of staff.
Mahalski part of your command?
Say again?
Is Crystal Mahalski part of your command that would know?
No.
Or she knows?
Well, I don't,
She already
there
said
again,
that.
there again, I've heard things here that were said that I
You want me
don't
to play
think
on the
anybody
video?
ever told them.
We can just play it on the video if you want.
You
Listen
can,
to it for
yeah,
yourself.
go ahead,
I
yeah.
mean, because she is sitting right over here and she says that I can't tell you guys why. I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
So she shouldn't know in the first place, sounds like.
Well, maybe she
So
does.
that would be your.
I don't,
she's
I
not part of
honestly,
that.
I don't know what she knows. I don't know what she knows.
Well, she knows plenty
Okay,
to be able to
I don't know
make
what
the
you know,
comments.
all I know is what I know.
I mean, I'm
Okay?
just telling you
I don't know
straight
what
up.
other people
That would
know.
be nice for
Right.
seniors knew what
I know
you
the
mean.
people that I've spoken to about it, and the people I've spoken to about it, I've told you about. If they've told other people, well, I can't,
Why
can't speak to that.
did you choose Mahalski?
Why did well, because like I said earlier, he's very experienced. He's been a member of the
We
wing.
have somebody
Why
that's
couldn't-
waiting for you to sign her paper. She has worked her butt off to get to that next rank. So what, we've got people in this squadron very capable, that you're holding her up.
Why isn't Nebraska having encampments?
Well,
So much easier.
And
to
this is
say.
somebody.
Amen.
that
Yeah, you're right.
we're working on
Yeah.
it. That's in the
So,
works.
but
Do
why
you-
was
so
it
what- but
canceled?
look, I've been the commander for a
Locked
year,
for 2 years.
okay?
I asked
I
you a
was put in
question.
command in July.
Why isn't Nebraska having encampments?
I will answer that.
Okay.
So since
hold
July
on,
is when
Michelle.
the issues came with.
No, hold on. I was put in charge of the wing in July. And encampments take a good 18 months to plan,
Okay.
if you're gonna do it correctly.
That's not what my question.
I know that wasn't your question, but the previous leadership, they were not working on that.
Who
Okay, the
was that?
wing commander.
Who Who was,
The wing staff.
why is Nebraska not allowed to have an encampment?
Who said they weren't allowed?
Why weren't we for a few years?
I don't know. I can't, I wasn't in charge of the wing or the region, so I don't have an answer to that.
Wouldn't it be good to know the history of the people you're putting in charge of a squadron?
Okay.
You said you did your research on,
Well, I know. I
so
know.
what kind of research?
So the answer to your question is that the previous wing, the Nebraska wings had about 4 or 5 commanders since what?
Mahalski was in charge of,
2017-ish?
Mahalski was in charge of joint Nebraska, Iowa encampment, right?
What's that?
Was Mahalski in charge of?
I don't know about that.
What's
Research,
the
Look,
but you're
look,
gonna put people in charge?
you know, when I was not here, I was part of the region. And I was a region
How do you know
director of
so much,
operations.
how do you know so much about Piper and Graham if you don't know that much about?
The person you just put in
Yeah,
charge.
we're not gonna go down that road because I.
You are the one that's saying I don't know anything,
Look,
because I haven't been doing it long enough. So how do you know so much about these guys?
you asked,
Now I'm asking you another question. That's another question.
what is that?
If you don't know very much about Mahalski, why do you know so much about Piper and Graham?
Well, I've worked with Greg and, here at the unit for the last, well, I don't know, 15 years or
Piper
so.
and Graham.
Right, yeah.
I didn't say Greg.
Okay, so.
Why
so
don't you
go
want to
look,
answer that
You know what,
question?
I don't.
Because it's not a good one to answer.
So you just
I don't,
blindly put
there's
somebody
not
in
an
charge of our
answer.
squadron?
Okay.
There is.
I mean, we know, but we
Right.
wanna hear you say it. I mean,
Mahalski.
You know what?
Mahalski does something wrong.
we know the answer. You
What
already
already
know
know
the
the
you
answer,
tell me
right?
the answer.
Well,
But
I'm
that's
too
not
new
how
to
this-
know. I'm waiting to hear.
We can't
You
tell
tell
the
me,
answers,
you
but
tell
no.
me the answers that you already know, that you think you want me
That
to
was your
say,
opinion.
and then we'll all
Yeah,
know
that
what
was
you
our
know, and then I
opinion.
can say, well, okay, if that's what you wanna know. But we're not here to talk about that. Okay?
So
We're here to,
my
we're
question
gonna
was
move on, so here we are.
We
When I
got
asked
questions,
what-
though.
Oh my
It's
god.
Funny that we hit a question here that you don't want to answer because it's not a good question to answer.
What's that? Do I know Isaac Piper?
No.
Okay.
Do you know
I gotta-
Mahalski
I gotta repeat
it.
time well enough to trust them with somebody else's kids?
I
You
do,
said-
yes.
Okay, that's what we were asking. Did you do your research? So you should know the answer to his question.
Which was, he was in charge of an encampment,
Yeah, okay, and?
but I don't have firsthand knowledge of this encampment, so no, I do not know.
For being a new member, I'd sure like to know, cause it's starting to sound a little suspicious here.
Yeah, for somebody who
So
doesn't
can-
know,
can
who's brand
somebody-
new,
Well, let me ask you
Somebody
this.
fill me
If it
in
was-
here?
I think
if it
Michael's
was-
are the newest, I would
should
like
I
to
be
know.
concerned?
I don't believe so, but I don't.
That's
but
not
I-
very reassuring.
But, you know, but here's the
There
problem.
was a cadet.
Were any of you at that encampment?
We've been here with Piper and Graham though.
I'm just saying.
Ask me about
I'm just-
Piper and Graham.
but, well, you know what? And people spread rumors, that's,
So you're
Thinking
accusing our
I'm
cadet
not
of
accusing
spreading
anybody of
rumors
anything.
now.
All I'm doing is making
You
a
just
statement.
There's a
said.
way to prevent rumors from being spread.
Is
It's
there
just be
Put it all out
transparent.
there.
And I'm saying, I don't know what they're talking about, okay?
Mahalski.
And I will guarantee you, I don't.
Mahalski, what happened at Joint Iowa Nebraska encampment when you were? a
Which
cadet?
year?
we had
Specifically.
He's,
No,
he's.
he's answering, let him answer.
dealt with it, that's it.
Can you
Yeah.
come up, what,
Sorry,
we
we
had,
had
can you
I
come
mean,
up
again,
here,
I'm a
please?
Like, that's a personal action, that's not, that has nothing to do with this whatsoever, that.
It's a cadet safety issue.
It's-
so
we have
If it's a cadet safety issue, I'd like to know
Yeah.
what the answer is.
Yes, please.
Well, let me put it this way, if it had been a cadet safety issue,
It was big
And it
enough,
had-
it was big
It
enough.
Whatever it had
resulted
to
in
do with
Nebraska not being allowed to have encampments.
It was so
there is,
clearly, it was.
there is no rule out there that says Nebraska can't have an encampment. Part of the reason Nebraska couldn't have an encampment in the last few years, it didn't have a facility to have an encampment.
You know that answer.
So there's one answer, okay? So, but we actually worked to get Camp Ashland to let us back on, so we've been having activities at Camp Ashland, and that's our goal. Hopefully next summer, if not next summer, the summer after. And we're working with Iowa and Missouri, and we will try to, we're gonna have a rotation. I believe Iowa's doing one this year. Is that right? So,
Right.
So you asked about encampment, that's what I know about encampments, is that's our plan, is to
I didn't ask
have an
about
encampment
encampments.
in summer of
I didn't-
2026.
We don't care when, we just want to
I asked
know.
about intake and leadership and why you chose.
All right, so going forward,
If-
I'm gonna
hold
ask,
on.
go ahead.
He's asking an important question, and really, our kid's only been doing this since what, like September, October?
Mine's only
So,
been in
I mean, I'm
December.
being straight up with you, you're making me a little nervous as a parent, because we're not putting it all out there. So, I
So-
feel
so
like
let me
we
say it.
need to know if
Okay.
if there have
If-
ever been safety, whatever.
If there was, then that would have been taken care of. There would have been either removals from the program.
It was,
or-
the program was
There were people
removed from
removed.
here.
There were people removed. So should we be concerned as parents?
I
With
wouldn't
new
be.
cadets to the program. You
So then
wouldn't
why
be?
were
I
they
would've
removed
been-
if you're not concerned? That's, like, it makes
I
no
already
sense.
said I wasn't concerned. I don't know.
Okay, but
And-
you-
But you keep asking me about
But
this,
you
why we're not
did.
allowed to have encampments.
That's his opinion, though.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
it
I'm
is my
just- I'm
opinion.
just- I'm just telling you,
Look,
I'm not-
I have two daughters that I put through the program. And I sent them to encampments. I sent them to NCSAs, National Cadet Summer Special Activities. Okay? So I trusted our
Were there adult
process.
females there?
Yes.
Why weren't there any at the?
And next Thursday starts the Flight Academy. We'll have 23 cadets from all over the country coming here. I'll be here, Rocky will be here, Wilma will be here. We got 8 flight instructors that are coming. We got
Where, here?
kids. Yes,
Okay.
here in Fremont. And we've done it here since 2002, 2001 was the first one, I believe. I've directed the thing for last 18 years.
How long does it go for?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So you are for sure 1,000,000% going to be in Fremont for the next 2 weeks.
I am, starting on a week from Thursday. But I'll be tied up with the Flight Academy, so my free time will be very short.
Well, that's your opinion. If it's important enough, you'd make time out for it. They're just saying, if he wanted to, he would.
Mhm.
So, moving forward,
What
what
do we need
are,
to
how
do?
far off track are we? How far off track is this
So we got a calendar issue, we found that out.
calendar
Yep.
issue, okay?
So that's what we're gonna start, and I'll let you
And the
get with Colonel
calendar is
Mahowski,
ran by
and
the
you
cadets,
guys can
correct?
Well, it has
get
been
going
in the
forward,
past.
and the senior leadership can, yes, sir?
One of the things that Lieutenant Colonel McCoskey needs to do right away is to assign the senior staff in writing. Because none of us are 100% sure what our jobs are.
They're the same jobs. At this time, I haven't changed anything.
Except for Missy.
I've been away
Brand,
because
Piper,
I've
Piper.
had some health problems,
So,
okay?
The
Yeah,
finance
not
committee
community
got
services
removed.
was changed, now,
Oh, yes, it
Okay,
is.
Christian, are they going to
Finance
get their
committee,
keys
Isaac,
back?
Graham,
So that way,
Missy.
when my kids
a
get to the
member of Fremont
point,
has keys.
okay, but,
Okay.
For some
but,
of the
hold on,
doors.
but can they go over
There's no-
there
there's
with
no
my
key to the,
cadets to go get a
to the comm room.
uniform
None of the duty
without
positions
having to be
changed.
escorted by
So if you go to
somebody
the-
other than their senior member and them?
We were just in the middle of inventory at that time. That's all
Okay.
that was.
So is inventory done over there?
Yes, it's
Okay.
been completed, I've done all the worksheets, it's all
so
there.
but that's.
Oh, really? You've
you guys
seen
get
everything?
together and-
Just not everything.
What?
Yeah, everything that I
What
have by
needs to- what
email,
needs to
I went
happen?
through everything, find every cap.
Where's the tent?
Lieutenant Colonel
That's-
I'm
has
just
a
gonna
house
select
key.
them so we can move
Which-
forward.
Have you had eyes on it?
Nobody
I have
wants to-
Not have eyes on it.
another question on where,
Okay, I have keys to the Snyder building.
Okay, and I need to put that on the, real property inventory as well.
can we hear, can
Can
you
you put
come
it
up
so
here?
we can hear you better, please?
Right, yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm done talking Okay, so you're gonna be here moving forward every Thursday, okay? So,
I went
cool,
online.
because we have been running it that the cadets make count.
That is perfectly fine, I'm
You're
with
good
that.
with that,
Okay,
that's
so-
making the count.
Training officer, so you were moved.
Who's the training officer?
Well, some of that
Well,
is-
according to this, you don't have a DCP directly,
Okay, so
which is as
how
directly,
many-
I'm sorry, who does the programs itself. You have an activity officer, you have all those
Okay,
other
who's the
functions.
activity
And people gotta
officer?
show up.
Well, right now, that's
and
Piper.
participate.
Piper is the activity
Mhm.
officer?
He's the activity
Who else
We
do you
can't
need?
just be mad.
Okay, let me explain what the positions, let me.
Yeah, right, like,
Okay.
I ain't got nothing else to do.
Okay.
I've got my fingerprints down and all. Mine's
So-
sitting at home in a folder, ready to be sent off, but.
Because there are certain goals, the first thing I was trying to get, I sent an email to Dunn and to Bell along with other people that are in those positions to find out what was being planned, and I'm looking for learning objectives and things of that nature. Now, you guys obviously didn't get the email because it wasn't pertinent for that information. Okay?
So to make the calendars,
Mhm.
the next you're gonna make the calendars,
In the
That's
building.
fine.
But I
okay, so
would
you
like
said
you to
we don't have a
report
what?
to Boxy.
Their
Yes, and we're gonna,
training officer.
So training officers, we have an activities person, who else do we need to have?
well, usually I leave that up to the deputy commander for cadets. This is a cadet unit that actually falls on me directly as the commander. That's how that
Yeah, I
works.
don't.
Because see, I'm gonna tell you this, and I don't want you to take it absolutely
But I'll
personal,
find out.
I'm trying to get you out of here.
But I will-
You're-
well, I
You
try.
don't live here in Nebraska.
Yes, I do.
Why do you have an Iowa plate on your car?
That's my work truck. I literally just, I
You
literally
live
came from
here
work.
in Fremont.
No, I live in basically just outside Elkhorn.
Okay, so what city
Now,
do you live in?
yes, you are.
Not just basically.
Douglas County, and if Omaha acts as everything else, it'll be Omaha.
But the
So-
your title is interim, right?
Right.
So you're an interim commander. Is your goal to stay as interim and change that into permanent, or is your goal to?
My goal is to get somebody to take over once we
Perfect.
meet the goals and everything that we're looking for.
Can it be
Saturday
somebody that is already
was
on
my
the senior
birthday.
staff?
I turned
Well, that's the idea. That's something I'd like to
I
entertain,
spent
yes.
Okay, great.
58
So,
years.
no offense, they're not like trying to like,
No, I wanna show, what I
But
wanna
what I
do
mean,
is I
I
wanna.
didn't mean that like I'm trying to kick you out.
No, no, no.
I was just
I
saying,
understand.
I
I
want
don't
to get
think
you
the
to
meeting-
move
I don't
on
think
to the
it's
things
matter.
that you, other things that you let.
And I
And our
get that.
squadron would also like to move forward.
We
Yes.
have basically
Well,
In
that's
fact,
what I'm dealing with.
so
trying
what-
to-
what-
Piper and Graham do.
We
What I'm looking
trying to
for-
wrestle
Well, what I'm
away
looking
the
for
SUI
are the
inspections
goals
for
for the
region.
unit. Every
Right.
part of the regulations,
The region
there are
IG.
goals for every unit. I tried explaining that, here's the goals I have,
Well, the
I'm gonna
bill's gonna be
follow.
the IG.
One, because they're already there. Two, I don't have to, it's all done for us in the report.
Can you tell us
Yeah, I
what
don't know.
those
Sure.
But, I mean, I know that was a long
Plum,
time
if you
ago.
got
I don't need this,
I
Oh,
don't want
okay.
to listen to Plum anymore. I'm
Oh,
sorry, I
no.
really don't.
You know,
I would
let me-
rather.
so-
I'm tired.
But I don't know that.
Instead of-
I don't know.
The wing comes, so we have to follow certain goals.
Yes.
And what I like to use
If
is
it's
called
going to be the
Quality
IG,
Cadet
it's gonna be the
Unit.
IG, and I'm trying to get
It's called the
one
Quality
that-
Cadet Unit Award, is what it's called.
I will take
And
care
it's
of it.
10 goals
Okay, I will take care
that
of it.
have to be met.
Is that the thing that you were trying to show
I was
us?
trying to, because that's my piece
You
of
have all our
Anyway.
Yes,
Can you please let it?
I can, and I can, that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Our kids need to know.
Oh, yeah, in fact, the one,
See, you are taking a lot of heat.
Let's go back over there.
I understand that, but sometimes it is what it is.
But it shouldn't be.
I
that way.
know, so.
Just because a dog pees lifting its leg doesn't mean that's always how it has to happen.
Well, I understand that. Okay, so in the email I sent to Dunn and DeBell, because I understand those are the two that kind of work, and they're also on the CAC, which I'd like to get the CAC going again here. I think that'd be great.
So we have a calendar. Our
Okay.
cadets are gonna run that. And we talk about training officers. We have an activity. What else?
What kind of calendar do you need? So obviously what we were doing was not.
No, it was.
Yeah, did Eric tell you that he's willing to take cadets to the encampment?
Who and what?
Eric is willing to take cadets to the encampment. However, we have no vehicle here.
there's a van in Omaha,
Huh.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to the SUV. It's no longer here.
That's all I need. In fact, I was going to say,
Didn't know that.
Gary, help me out here. 60. I remember as a 5218. He's the director of cadet programs for the wing.
What's his name? Hey,
Lieutenant Colonel Gary.
how would you like to be addressed?
Colonel Groves.
Colonel Rupp. Okay. Hello. I've seen some of your emails. Face, name, got it.
Are you the one I've been emailing about
And
this
so
plane
does
thing?
everybody
It's gonna be perfect. I'm
So-
very excited about
We
that.
don't know.
So, Gary, unfortunately, I don't know off the top of my head. The regulation where it says 45 minutes, I know I have it, I don't have it with me because I came directly from work.
I don't know it offhand.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
in the email I sent to Donna, I'd be more than happy to send that to whoever would like it. I mean, there's nothing in there that's, but it shows links on what's required for the unit. It's like 245 leadership, 245 minimum, 245.
Kids to grow and learn.
Exactly. And in fact, when I started putting the schedule together, the first class I wanted to do was the goal setting and review everybody's goals, how they were doing. I understand that, and I.
Yeah, I feel like it would be a great idea.
I did, we did.
We can go over.
That's your fault.
Agreed. It's hard for us to allow us to sit our children down with you when we're like, who the French toast is this person coming in? Because of how it happened, how it was handled, you've got to understand from us as a parent. We're gonna say, whoa, little Susie, hold the phone. I don't know what's going on here. That's why we're up as any parent would. And by not being
My daughter had an interest in
so if we're asking, that's not how we do it. And because I know, well, I can't answer. Exactly.
Right, I understand where I'm
We're gonna get hung up in here, that's not gonna.
Right, so let me at least do this. Let me put together what I'm looking for as goals for the unit. Okay? And if it's completely off the wall, I can show you exactly where they're at, show you exactly where they're at, exactly where I can show you on my national site where I get all this information from, because you can look it up too, for most of the stuff.
Whatever you need.
I don't know, that's not up to me directly, that's the wing commander. The wing commander is the one who.
And I don't think that's right now, it feels like just personal issue.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna touch
I
that,
understand.
but, yeah, you already know that.
That's fine.
You know,
But
when
let's-
when Jason and I came.
Can we nominate somebody to be that person, to be your right-hand man or gal, to free up your
And
picture,
that's what
back home?
Oppenheim, that's why I deal, that's why I have Oppenheim. He's not your person, he's not gonna be the commander either, he's made that clear. He's helping me out as deputy because he's been, I would like to, but I haven't had a chance to talk with him. Yeah, I understand it.
Look, I got a lot of things that went going on.
To be your guy, let Oppenheimer do whatever he needs, that Oppenheimer does.
So, he's the one who directly works with the seniors and things like that. In the directions, well, when we come up with the goals, okay? And that's what I'm looking to do, okay? So that's where I wanna start, okay? I just wanna start with the goals first and show the plan of how to move forward. I'm gonna email the goals, and I actually, yes, I'm gonna email Sure.
If you could find out the ones that we really have to work on first.
Oh, sure.
And then like do the
We'll do
top
the
to
easy
the
ones.
bottom.
It's opinion based, yeah, personally it's opinion based, but there's certain ones I think we can hit very quickly. So, exactly. And what we do then.
Help them build trust in you by finding their passions and working on that, not coming in and saying, this is what we're doing.
And I understand, we're very,
I have one more thing. When you guys meet with the cadets the next week, whenever that ends up being, I am requesting as a parent, on behalf of all these parents, that as that meeting starts, it starts with, we're so sorry.
You cannot do that.
This last
And I
month
don't wanna blame,
has
I'm
been
like, look, we
hard.
just gotta get.
We expect our cadets to apologize.
We gotta create an
Absolutely.
We gotta
And I
create.
think
Whether
it
it
would
was
benefit,
intentional or not.
And believe
a
me,
mistake was
it would
made.
benefit them, it would benefit
Not
you.
some gaslighting or.
And just saying, this is hard, here's how to walk through hard things.
Yeah, this is. and-
Level with them a little bit, it would gain you guys so much.
So, what I'm gonna
Help
be
the
sending,
cadets build
Every
trust.
time you
Because
go.
mine is doing that too, but
so,
she's struggling to trust anybody. Because
No,
there's just
Caleb.
been.
Higgins would be the key too.
yeah, I mean, you just put that in there, it's about 317.